It's time to get your inspirational thinking caps on. What's up, everybody? Mel here again with Sunrise Compass. In a previous episode, we spoke with Devon Fitzgerald, one of the members of our solutions team, to find out what Power Platform is. But now I want to find out how it can be used in real-world situations. So I brought Devon back to tell us about the 10 best uses of Power Platform that he's seen so far. So let's see what he has for us. Hey, Devon, thanks for joining me again.
I can't believe I'm back. And some people think dreams don't come true.
Okay, so let's set the stage. Can you only use Power Platform with Microsoft tools?
You know, none of these solutions require any of the other Microsoft tools. And by that, I mean, they don't necessarily require the Microsoft ERP, the Microsoft CRM, or the Microsoft business applications. It's not required. It's certainly easier and better if you do. I mean, it really highlights that Microsoft products, when working together, become exponentially more powerful. But these are equally applicable to outside and external solutions and business applications that aren't Microsoft products.
Gotcha. All right, let's get into this list. And in no particular order, what you got, Devon?
Got a lot of examples, some bigger, some smaller. The first one is a great example of one of the bigger types of solutions that you can do in Power Platform. As frequent implementers and constant implementers of D365 and Microsoft's Dynamics ERP solution, there are plenty of times and instances where you run into scenarios where there may be functions and even full-blown modules that don't exist in the standard application. This is one of those examples. Vendor claims management. The idea is that sometimes you need to go back to your vendors and say, hey, you missed some shipments, or your shipments were late, or the price is wrong, and you need to start asking for some credits back. Interestingly enough, this functionality exists for customers, but it doesn't for vendors. So with a good application and a use of the full spread of the Microsoft Power Platform solutions, including Dataverse tables, Power Automate, and some embedded Power Apps directly within D365 Finance and Operations, you can have a seamless experience where you're adding a full-blown module in a D365 without changing any of the code in your ERP. The thing I really like about this is it's very personalizable. You know, sometimes different vendors and suppliers require maybe a very official form be filled out, and this could, honestly, it could automatically populate it and send it back to them, or maybe it just notifies them via email. The process and the communication, the overall tracking of these claims is a very, very nuanced thing that can be different per supplier, but with the flexibility of the Power Platform, it's very realistic. You know, the next one is a bit of a smaller use case, but I don't know, it's just special to me. Maybe it's because my roots are finance, I don't know. But this is the idea and one of those very simple but underutilized features of Power BI. Power BI is obviously a tremendous reporting solution. It's really leading the pack in terms of capabilities and reporting analysis and data visualization. But one of the things that people don't realize is that you can trigger processes from your reports. So for example, there's a lot of times where finance teams in particular are dealing with data and general ledger entries, for example, that have to come from external systems. Well, if those external systems are rolling into a Power BI report, I don't know if you realize you can put a button in that report that allows you to book an entry directly into your GL in an automated capacity. It's this really cool aspect of reports aren't just reports anymore. They're actually functions as well. Applications include things like finance entries, like I mentioned, also automated customer notifications. If you realize that a customer is going to get either a late or delayed shipment, you can notify them ahead of time based on things like Sunrise's IP around soft allocation and having that advance notice. And even other applications can include things like automatic cancellation of orders or remaining quantities on purchase orders. If it's surfaced in Power BI, you can essentially, just trigger any action on the external system, especially when you're talking about D365 Finance and Operations and or CE. So how many times are you dealing with instances where you're having to send forms to external parties? Think about customers, contractors, vendors, where you say, hey, fill out this form and send it back to me. Well, we encounter that all the time, whether it comes in the form of a customer's credit application or maybe just a vendor onboarding form. Well, that doesn't have to be something that's just a spreadsheet that's sent off in an email. If you strategically utilize things like Microsoft Forms that trigger Power Automate flows, not only can you reduce the need to copy paste or have duplicate entry across different forms, but you can also just have the responses reviewed and automatically loaded into your system. It's one of my favorite use cases of utilizing Power Automate with D365 Finance and Operations in particular. Adding a new vendor, submitting customer credit via credit application becomes really easy, and you don't need to sit in these external forms. Stay out of those forms.
Credit applications. Man, I could have used that on a project I did a while back to help simplify the process for my client.
Yeah, this is another smaller one, but it makes a difference to users. So oftentimes when you're dealing with customer service, for example, customers will call in and ask, hey, where's my order? And is it on the way? And in a lot of cases, that order could be shipped out on a delivery truck and and on its way to the customer already. Well, if you're dealing with an external carrier service like the classic UPS, FedEx, DHL, etc., oftentimes there's not really a way to automatically connect and pull up that where is the truck and how far is it away from the customer, unless you have some sort of ISV, some sort of add-on for carrier services. And the thing is, that's just one feature of a lot of features that those ISVs come with that oftentimes can be overkill for your customers. But in this case, a simple little Power App can just add a button to your screens in D365 Finance and Operations. And with the click of that button, it pops up the tracking page with whatever carrier you're working with. It's a really cool thing it's low effort to implement. It's a simpler thing for users, but it makes a big difference, and it makes them really feel and acknowledge that they're living in a modern application.
When Power Platform first came out, this was one of the first things that came to my mind. It would have been awesome to be able to have that on the POS to help answer customer queries about orders.
Next one, this is actually a solution that works with SharePoint. It's really common to have to keep track of certifications, whether it's certifications for employees, customers, vendors, even products. And while you could be dealing with a system that allows for things like attachments, just having attachments isn't enough. You need to know when these certifications are going to expire and even what type of certifications they are. There's really important legal implications to all of this. That's a solution that's been built. If you keep track of these attachments and these certifications in SharePoint, that's something you can actually not only report on, but with the use of things like Power Automate flows, Power BI, and even some Power Apps, you can have that a seamless experience where you have automations that are connecting and syncing and constantly syncing that SharePoint list with your ERP solution. In our case, go figure, Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. That's exactly what we did. While the actual details of the certifications are captured in SharePoint, from a user standpoint, they access them directly through the ERP forms. It doesn't matter if they're going through SharePoint or D365, it's one user experience overall.
Now that is just the beginning. We have even more examples to share with you, so join Devon and me on the next episode of Sunrise Compass. See you later.